Holy smokes, we are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, and I know you do, if you love everything in college football, please hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and share the video with your family and your friends. If you want to donate, support this channel, this Rebel Outpost channel. And I got to tell you, once again, without a shadow of a doubt, we are the Rebel Outpost of college football. We're on an island, onto ourselves. The fat guy from Minnesota is on an island all to himself with everybody in the PATC community going out of their boats and coming onto the island. Are you all going to sink before you get to the island? When you get to the island, is there going to be any food? Because the fat guy from Minnesota is sitting there in a lawn chair, eating it all up. The coconuts are all done. So if you want to support this college football Rebel Outpost channel with the donation to resupplant those coconut trees or whatever they do, please hit the $, make a comment. We'll get you a super chat as quick as we possibly can. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway in Kurt Gowdy avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend with your comments in the comments section and with your phone calls later in the show. We've got breaking news. Breaking news, Pete Thamel, ESPN. All sides are working to complete the long form of the settlement in the House case, which is expected to be finalized in the upcoming weeks and presented to Judge Wilkin. A few details need to be hashed out in the near future per sources. The range of roster limits being discussed is between 100 and 110, with the Big Ten lobbying for the higher side of that range. There's a discussion of a phase-in on this. So the teams with the giant rosters, think 130, 140, potentially don't have to make immediate giant cuts for 2025. Pete Thamel goes on to say there's a framework being discussed about the enforcement mechanism around collectives. Those details may not be fully hashed out until after the long form is done. Enforcement always is vexing for everyone. Don't expect immediate clarity on how athletic departments will handle monetary distribution. That's still a major topic, but not one required to be addressed in this settlement. So there is some breaking news for Pete Thamel. All sides are working to complete the long form of the settlement in the House case. All sides are working to complete the long form of the settlement in the House case. Is that what Josh Pate has been alluding to when he says people are going to be finally, well, let's listen to Josh Pate. Thank you to TJ Pittenger for putting this up on his X account. Let's listen to what Josh Pate said last night. I hope the volume is good enough for you all to hear. Let's take a look.
I want to give you guys a warning that I think you're already aware of in your own personal lives, but you don't realize how similar everyone else's life is to yours. I know you guys very well. You know me. And we know that each other, we know amongst ourselves, we've been putting stuff off to next week for a solid 2 weeks. You know good and well you've been telling folks, we'll get to it after July 4th. We'll get to it after the holiday weekend is really what you meant. Well, people in our world do that too. People in the media world, yeah, duh, they hardly ever work anyway. But people in the college football and college athletics world have been doing that. So I know this is vague. It's meant to be vague because I'm not talking about anything in particular. I'm just telling you, you know how there have been some drips about potential big news coming over the past, I don't know, like few months. I think the dam's going to start to break because I think a lot of people have been putting things off, big decisions, big buttons and levers they need to push and pull. I think those have basically been put off to this week. It starts this week, and there are going to be a lot of really busy people behind the scenes this week in your world where you work, but also in college athletics, and whomst amongst us knows what will come from that. I want to give you guys
let me thank everybody who's come on in. Stephen Vitt, it's meant to be vague. Thanks for saying that right away. Rock and Rant says there's no way Pate is referring to the settlement papers for the House. That's just in progress. I would agree. We're going to be talking about the Josh Pate tease. This is part 3 of his tease. The one added component to this part 3 is the timing. He says he believes that the dam is going to start to break this week. People are going to be pulling the levers, pushing the buttons in the college football and college athletics world. If you tie it into part 1 and part 2, I don't think it has anything to do with the House settlement. And I'm going to add more to the list on what I don't think this is, what Josh Pate is teasing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm going to guess, but it's only a guess. I have a strong, very strong take of what it's not, and we're going to be going through that. And then, in my mind, I can narrow it down, but I don't know what he's been teasing. But I don't think it has to do with the House settlement. If you tie in his part 1 and part 2s, he talked about a realignment bomb, realignment news. A bomb possibly going off in the month of July. He talked about Florida State and other schools. Florida State being the face of it, but other schools going to be involved. So I know there's big things going on everywhere. I mean, my goodness, Utah and Miami, the news just broke that they're going to be the Miami Hurricane versus the Utah Utes 2027. They're going to be leading off the season in a season opener. You got the Big 12 Media Days tomorrow. You got this governance, this settlement. There's a whole bunch of news breaking. There might be something going on in the Leon County. There might be a settlement. We're going to go through it. I'm going to put my chips in the middle of the table on one particular scenario that Josh Pate, I think this is what he's talking about, and we'll get to it. But I could be wrong. This is not based on any information that I have received on the positive. I have information that says it's not A, B, C. So I'm guessing it's HIJK or elemental P. But we'll get to it. Breaking news. Another breaking news. Florida State, there's going to be an unredacted ESPN, ACC media agreements given to the judges, given to Florida State. They're going to be highly protected. So if Tracy FSU does a FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act, does a request, FOIA request, Tracy FSU in the chat, for those media rights agreement, the unredacted version, Tracy FSU is going to strike out just like the rest of us. Now, does it increase the chance that someday maybe we're going to see it? Possibly. Judge Cooper, they ruled in Leon County, just like it already happened in Clemson, in Pickens County. ESPN, ACC media rights agreement gets forked over to Florida State. This is a victory for Florida State. It is one that we were expecting, but nonetheless, it is a victory. Anything that puts pressure, a little bit more pressure in the ACC, all those are victories in battle. Not the war, but in battle. Also, again, I know this is very controversial when I say this. But I believe Florida State and Clemson are being honest in the courts. I believe Clemson is being honest in the courts in the fact that when those Clemson lawyers received the unredacted version of the ACC ESPN media rights agreement, per the ruling in Pickens County, they kept it to themselves. Only those working on the case. I don't believe for a second that Florida State was able to grab those documents, able to get those documents. No way, no how. So what I'm saying is, even though Florida State lawyers have gone into the vault in Charlotte and has taken notes of the ESPN media rights agreement, taken notes of the grant of rights, taken notes, they have not been able to take a picture of these documents, even though they're taking notes and someone is looking over them, a representative from the ACC. Even though Florida State is taking notes, look, there's nothing like having the real deal documents right in front of you for all your lawyers to look out, parse, figure it out. This is a victory for Florida State and might turn the pressure up just a little bit more on the ACC. So that's breaking news. Let's go. I want to say thank you for everybody who's come on in. Going to do a quick roll call, and then we're going to go through our SEC order of finish prediction. I've run out of time. The Big 12 Media Days starting here. It's July 8th. We've done the Big 12. We've done the ACC. We've done the Big 10. We've broken it all down. I had the SEC broken down a week ago, but I kept stalling. This was supposed to happen last Monday, but I had to stall. I had to stall because I felt Greg the Cooler was walking in the door. I felt a cool breeze come over me. But now I'm feeling a little bit more confident, feeling a little bit more warm, let's say, when it comes to my predictions. So we're going to go through that. You guys can yell at me for my horrible predictions. And then we're going to go through the Josh Pate teasing. I'm going to give you my final thoughts on that. Because he says it's going to start to break this week. So it's going to become evident at some point. If his information comes out to be true, it's going to be evident at some point. Maybe even during this live show. I don't think it has anything to do with the House settlement. But let's go through this. Nick Boardman, thanks for coming on in. The Walking Geek. Florida Man, Seminole in the house. Stephen McNeely, Caleb Ramirez, Mob Prof, Skaven, yes. The Mountaineer, Jeff Morgan, KS Bear Fan is here. Preston from Greensboro is here. Bill G, Lego Gators. I don't think I'm looking forward to this. You know, probably not. But it's not like Florida doesn't have some. They've got some dudes, man. They've got some dudes. Brutal schedule. The quarterback was way better last year than I predicted. I had to take the L on that. Coming from Wisconsin. They've got, Florida Gators have got some dudes. At least they're going to be, you're going to have good moments. Gator fans are going to have good moments. But yeah, Billy Napier, I don't know if he can do it. 11-14, his first 25 games. Can they get to a bowl game this year? I don't know. They're right on the edge. Jim Reese is in the house. Expedition Greg, the Architect. FSU 11 is in the house. Bimba 7579. Daniel is here. Kerry Gold Nose Florida State about to break one open up in the ACC for the Canes. Good afternoon, all. Let's go, Canes. Amazing Blue is here. Benjamin Griffin. Nathan, hi, how you doing? Nathan, Dr. L. Smith. Oh boy, go Bucks. Joaquin Morales, smash that like button. Young Seminole, holy smokes. Gold Nose Greg. Les Austin Jr., Rock and Rant, Mr. Hurricane, Mr. Terrapin follows up right behind him. D5 Terps is in the house. Ryan Brooks is here. Ryan Brooks has entered the studio, and I'm about to do the SEC predictions. I may surprise Ryan Brooks. I may offer up a little bit of a surprise for Mr. Brooks. Or maybe not. We'll see. Humble Bumble Duck is here. The Big Lubbock is here. Holy smokes. Tracy FSU is in the house. Crab Cakes and Football. Jared Jones. Still Austin. The Rebel Outpost known as PATC. I think we're more rebel than at any time during... At any time. This is the most rebel we have been. We'll get to that in a moment. But I feel really good of where we are. Where we are here, peek around the corner. Immaculate Mr. Hot Guy is here. Go Black 45. Anthony Carlson, Mr. Spartans. The Cyclones, Matt Neeson. The only one who was happy with me was Matt with my Big 12 predictions. PA No Fan is here. Larry, the GM, is in the house. Richard Ledford. Yes, we just went through that. It is a victory for Florida State, no question about it. Kurt Searcy is in the house. Hoodin Ninja 4 is here. Okay, let's get to it. Ed Cook is here. Yep, I agree. They had no problem with the Clemson release. Likely have no problem with the Florida State release. ESPN just doesn't want it released to the public and to their primary competition. Right? They don't want the competition. Fox doesn't want it released either. Fox does not want ESPN trade secrets open because Fox doesn't want their trade secrets open. Still a victory. Still a victory for Florida State. Okay. Let's get to it. You guys have been waiting for this? Probably not. But, look. This was... The Big 12 was very difficult. The ACC, we've got Florida State number 2, Miami number 3. Miami is incredibly talented. Florida State is ready to defend successfully their ACC championship. But I fell in love with North Carolina State, and I'm going down with them. I am going to freeze everybody up, Greg the Cooler, with my North Carolina State prediction. The Big Ten, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, Iowa 5th. The Big 12 was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We've got Kansas State, number 1. Utah, number 2. The SEC, the 1 and 2 was easy. 16 and 15 was pretty easy. Everything between that was a complete mess. So let's get to it. I will get to the gift memberships and your super chats after we go through these predictions. Thank you, Ricky. I will get to that in a moment. Thank you for your generosity. Kurt Searcy has already thanked you, Ricky, and I will thank you here in a little bit. Let's get to it. Number 16. Number 16. The Vanderbilt linebacker Langston Patterson. The premier defensive player of Vanderbilt, number 10. You see him on a screen. 2-11 last year. Now, when we go through these teams, as you know, I only bring up most of the time couple early games in the season, so we're going to know which way the wind is blowing on these teams. August 31st, Virginia Tech. September 21st, Missouri. Pavia. Diego Pavia, the quarterback this year. Now, Nate Johnson, another transfer quarterback, is battling him, but it's got to be Diego Pavia. New Mexico State's quarterback who had an incredible year playing for Jerry Kill. New Mexico State had basically the best football season probably forever. Diego Pavia was the quarterback. He has transferred to Vanderbilt. Tougher than nails, and he's going to have to be honest with you. He's going to get hit a lot. The defense of Vanderbilt's was horrific last year. They brought in a whole bunch of transfers. On offense, Diego Pavia is going to be looking at, well, let's put it this way. Vanderbilt, 2-11 last year, lost their 4 top wide receivers of 2023. Quincy Skinner is going to be the old man coming back. 20 catches last year for 204 yards. They've got a really good tight end. Everybody respects their tight end, Cole Spence. He's got to stay healthy. So the best player, their best weapon coming into this year has been nicked up. Safety CJ Taylor could be a second team all SEC this year. Langston Patterson will be a second team, could be a first team all SEC. So if you're watching a Vanderbilt game for 2024, keep your eye on number 10 right in front of you. Keep your eye on number 10. Number 15 in the SEC, Mississippi State, Blake Shapen. Now, a couple years ago, I was singing his high praises at Baylor. He had some really good moments for the Baylor Bears. Real good moments. But they decided to go in a different direction. They brought in an all-MAC quarterback, Daquan Finn. Mississippi State picks up the transfer, Blake Shapen. They're hoping for good things. They've got Kevon Lee, the running back. They're hoping that he can produce this year. He ran for 75 yards or something last year. Barely played. They got a veteran wide receiver, Jordan Mosley, but they lost a whole bunch on the wide receiver front from last year. They did get Louisville transfer wide receiver Kevin Coleman. They lost everything on defense. They've got all these transfer plays. This is Mississippi State has no expectations this year. This is new head coach Jeff Lebby's first year. He's got no pressure. This is not going to be the quarterback of the future. Wide receiver Jaden Wally's coming back. It seems like for the 12th year. He's their veteran. They were 5-7 last year. They start the season. Arizona State, September 7th. Florida, September 21st. I almost had them at 16. Don't expect much out of Mississippi State this year. This is year one. Jeff Lebby getting his feet wet. No pressure. No expectations. Mississippi State, number 15. Number 14, South Carolina Gamecocks. Devil Williams, the great linebacker. Number 0 you see before you, making plays. If you're going to watch Carolina this year, if you're going to watch South Carolina, it has to start with number 0, the quarterback. Lenore Sellers, redshirt freshman. I don't know what we're going to see. I don't think anybody knows what we're going to see. Boy, there's a lot of worry in South Carolina. Remember, they did not have a running game last year for Rattler. They gave no help to Rattler, the quarterback, who went off to the NFL. The running game was real bad. They brought in running back Raheem Sanders, the Rocket. You remember Sanders, who played at Arkansas? In 2022, he ran for 1,400 yards, over 1,400 yards. Injuries, he fell off the map, and now he's coming back to try to resurrect his college football career to go to the NFL next year. Can Raheem Sanders, the Rocket, help South Carolina's running game? They have a weak wide receiver room with a quarterback that we don't know. He's very athletic. Lenore Sellers. South Carolina's passing attack may drop off the table. They got some good tight ends, Joshua Simon and Brady Hunt. Brady Hunt and Simon are good tight ends. I expect some protection. The defense is going to go permanently. The defense got absolutely wrecked for the first 3/4 of the season last year. But at the end of the season, they switched to a 4-2-5, and it sounds like they're going to try to make that permanent. But the man, if you're going to watch South Carolina this year, and you will, it's going to be number 0, Mr. Williams, the great linebacker, South Carolina. Number 13, now 16, 15, and 14, I think that is a consensus in my mind. Number 13, I've got the Arkansas Razorbacks. 4-8 last year. They start the season September 7th at Oklahoma State. And September 28th, they're at home against Texas A&M. We're going to learn a lot about where Arkansas is this year after the Texas A&M game. Sam Pittman, his seat is warm. The head coach, Sam Pittman. The man you see before you is what I would consider somewhat of a mystery. Taylor Green, Boise State. Remember Boise State last year? They were dead. They were buried, the Broncos. And then midway through the season, something switched. The switch was flipped. Boise State went on to dominate the second half of the Mountain West Conference season, and it was because of this man, Taylor Green. His statistics, not all that good. 1,700 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 57% completion percentage passing. He did run for 436 yards. What do they got? Can he play in the SEC, Taylor Green? He's going to have to. He's going to have to produce. The running attack was not good last year. It was brutal. Rashad Dubinin, 260 yards. Isaiah Agostov, he was going to be their running back. He transferred to Colorado about a month ago. Went to the Buffaloes. The main attraction of the season for the Arkansas Razorbacks is new offensive coordinator. He's back, Bobby Petrino. What kind of tools does he have? He does have Andrew Armstrong coming back. 57 catches, 764 yards. A good tight end. And Luke has 16 catches, Now on defense, the man who, number 40, Landon Jackson. Defensive lineman, number 40, you will not miss him. He's coming off the edge. He's got long legs. It takes 2 strides and he's at the quarterback. Number 40, Landon Jackson, defensive lineman. He's your edge rusher coming off the edge. He's absolutely brilliant for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Anyways, Arkansas, we've got them at number 13. Number 12, the Florida Gators. Eugene Wilson is a special dude. 61 catches last year, 538 yards. Now they lost Pearsall to the draft. They lost their running back. He went in the portal, went to Georgia, ETN. But Montreal Johnson doesn't have the upside, but he's a tough dude. Montreal Johnson is a tough dude. He's good. They've got a good running back. They've got a really good wide receiver. There's nothing wrong with any of this. Montreal Johnson, 817 yards, 5.4 yards per rush. Graham Mertz, I took the L on Graham Mertz. I took the L. 72%, almost 73% passing completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's back for his second year under Billy Napier. Khalil Jackson got some ability. He's coming back, 21 catches. They've got the big tight end, Arlis Boardham, 26 catches. They've got guys coming back. They've got the quarterback coming back. Yes, they lost a couple big pieces. Kelby Collins, T.J. Searcy, defensive lineman. Safety, Jordan Castell. They start this season against Miami. August 31st. If the Gators can beat Miami, if Graham Mertz can beat Cam Ward, if they can get off the snide, game one. Headed into a brutal schedule. That first game is so important. They play the Texas A&M on September 14th. Billy Napier is 11-14. Brutal schedule, but they've got dudes. Just got to get off to a good start. If they don't, things are going to collapse, I think. I think Napier might lose the team. Beat Miami, Florida. Beat Miami. Number 12. Number 11. The Auburn Tigers. The man before you, Jarquez Hunter. He's going to be SEC, all SEC team, first team or second team. 909 yards last year, 5.7 yards per rush. Damari Alston is another good running back. 320 yards, 5 yards per rush. Jeremiah Cobb, the running back room is stacked for Auburn. They were 6-11 last year. Lost to Maryland. They start September 7th against California. You know, you guys, I like California this year. I like their offense. So that's going to be an interesting game. September 21st against Arkansas. You can't talk about Auburn without talking about the 5-star true freshman, and he lit it up in spring football, Cam Coleman. He had a brilliant spring. An absolute brilliant spring. Cam Coleman. If you're going to watch Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, the true freshman, you've also got to watch Cam Coleman of Auburn, true freshman. The Auburn Tigers can't stop talking about him. He is the player. And they got Keandre Lambert-Smith. Now, the Penn State the transfer from Penn State to wide receiver, Penn State fans went hot, cold, hot, cold, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold on KLS over the last 3 years. He had 53 catches last year, 673 yards. Sometimes he would drop an important pass at an important part of the game. But Keandre Lambert-Smith, I think, was a real good pickup for Auburn. Now, the quarterback is the issue. And this is why I've got Auburn at 11 and no higher. Peyton Thorne, watched him at Michigan State, watched him at Auburn. The Gophers roughed up Peyton Thorne. He's a middle-of-the-roader quarterback. 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I think his ceiling is pretty low. I think that's going to keep Auburn no better. Well, I've got them 11th. I think that is the part of the program that's going to flip next year for Auburn. They've got some transfers, interesting transfers on the defensive side of the field. Cage Keys of Kansas, Trill Carter of Texas, both of them had played for the Gophers. Trill Carter is a productive defensive tackle. He is. So that's an interesting pickup for Auburn. They got really good cornerbacks. Kayan Lee and Keontae Scott. Auburn they've got some players coming back. I like them. And of course, the running back, Jarquez Hunter. I like Auburn. I like what's going on in year 2 for the new head coach. But the quarterback is going to weigh them down, in my opinion. Auburn, number 11, here in our order to finish prediction here. SEC, number 10. And I've got them a little bit higher than most people. I've got Kentucky at number 10. Most, I would suggest, if you look at predictions around there, Kentucky's 11, 12, 13. I've got them at 10. Brock Vandegrift is, again, a man of mystery to me. It's why I couldn't have them go any higher. 7-6 last year. They lost to Clemson in the Gator Bowl. They start September 7th is their first big game against South Carolina. September 14th against Georgia. Running back, Chip Trayanum. The transfer from Ohio State. He's got some guys. He's got some ability. This was a real good pickup for the Kentucky Wildcats. Chip Trayanum, career yards, 1,156 yards, 5.1 yards per rush. Didn't get a whole lot of playing time in that stacked Ohio State backfield. Good pickup. Kentucky also has production coming back from last year. The wide receiver room is good. Dan Key, 42 catches. Berrien Brown, 43 catches. So they got, Kentucky is, I think they're going to be sneaky good this year. They've got, their defense last year against the run was outstanding. And the biggest reason is coming back for 2024. Deon Walker, the special monster up front, the great defensive tackle for the Kentucky Wildcats. Deon Walker, man. So they've got dudes. D-back Maxwell Hairston, a standout shutdown corner. And then they relying on some transfers coming in. Their linebacker from Georgia, Jamin Dumas-Johnson. I remember when he was being recruited. So Kentucky, I've got them number 10. Boy, Brock Vandegrift, if he can If he can hit a certain level of play for the Kentucky Wildcats, Kentucky may finish in the top half of the first 16-team season. Kentucky's going to be tricky. Number 9, the Oklahoma Sooners. 10-3 last year. Lost to Arizona in the Alamo Bowl. They start, the first big game is September 14th versus Tulane. September 21st versus Tennessee. The quarterback, of course, we know that their quarterback transferred to Oregon, so now it's Jackson Arnold. He played a little bit at the end of last year. Highly recruited. A lot of hype behind Jackson Arnold. 563 yards last year. 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But the man that I want to talk about for the Oklahoma Sooners is the man you see before you, Gavin Sawchuk, the running back. Now, this guy was playing at an extremely high level at the end of last year. I cannot remember who. Maybe it was against Arizona in the bowl game. I can't remember what game it was. It was near the end of the season. Maybe it was the bowl game. But Gavin Sawchuk is a very patient runner. But it's not like he's wasting time either. He knows what he's doing. He's got a natural, he knows the timing of running. He doesn't just fly into the line. He's patient behind his blockers. And when there's an opening, he takes off. I love watching this dude. I love Gavin Sawchuk. He ran for 744 yards, 6.2 yards per rush. And I got a feeling that most of the country really don't know about him too much. So I wanted to put him on the screen. I enjoyed watching him at the end of the season. I just wish I remember what game that was. But I was just like, man, this cat, he knows how to run. He's gonna be the guy who's gonna carry the rock for the Sooners for 2024. Jalil Farouk, the wide receiver, 45 catches. Andrew Anthony, 27 catches. Nick Anderson, 38 catches. They're all coming back. They've got a good wide receiver room. Linebacker Danny Stutzman, you all know who he is. Makes play after play after play, and the announcers are always bringing up his name. Billy Bowman is going to be a first or second team all safety in the SEC. Woody Washington's coming back. Oklahoma has not had a good secondary. Their secondary play over the last 5 years has been bad. Bad. Not the last 5 years. Most of the last 7 or 8 years. But they might be pretty good in the secondary this year. Again, Jackson Arnold. We'll see how he does here in the SEC. Oklahoma, number 9. Number 8, Tennessee. Brew McCoy, number 15. The wide receiver. A whole lot of talent. But last year he was playing South Carolina and he bad ankle injury. Now he's recovering. He's going to be back. He's going to be playing this year. The Volunteers need the Brew McCoy that was emerging before the injury. The quarterback, Nico, the freshman, the phenom, all the hype behind Nico. He needs his Brew McCoy to be ready. Squirrel White, wide receiver, coming back, 67 catches. The O-line has a bunch of returning starters. The O-line is set. Running back Dylan Sampson, 604 yards, 5.7 yards per rush. He's ready to take over that position. James Pierce. He plays at the God tier. James Pierce, the phenom, the great edge rusher. Fantastic. Gonna be what? What is he gonna be drafted? James Pierce, what? Number 2, number 3, number 4 in next year's draft? I'm not talking about rounds. I'm talking about overall. He's going to be in the top 10 of the NFL draft. James Pierce. The whole secondary is being filled up. The whole secondary is being filled up with transfer players. That's going to be a mystery. That's why I have Tennessee 8 and no higher. Nico, first year as a quarterback in the SEC. First year as a starter. And the secondary, the back 7, is a mystery for Tennessee. That's why I don't have them any higher than 8. But Brew McCoy, if he can come back. Nico and Brew could be the combination that the whole nation is going to be watching. Number 7, Texas A&M. This was the next 3 teams. I had them do-si-doing with each other. I put Texas A&M at number 7. Quarterback Connor Weigman. Another guy who's coming off an injury season. Before his injury, in the first 3 games of last year, he was basically performing at the highest rate you could. He was the number 1 quarterback in all college football. He was absolutely phenomenal, and then he went down with a foot injury. I've said this before the last couple of years. Connor Weigman, his high school tape is phenomenal. This kid is going to be an NFL quarterback. He's going to be playing on Sundays. So why can't I have Texas any higher than 7? Well, Mike Elko, it's his first year. The wide receiver room, Moose Muhammad, he's okay. Noah Thomas is going to have to impress. The tight end is good, but he's coming back from an injury. Donovan Green. The running back, Reuben Owens, Levon Moss, he shows some potential. One of those 2 guys is going to have to become a play. I don't know if Connor Weigman has the tools around him. Now, what Texas A&M does have. What Texas A&M does have is a fantastic defensive line. And this defensive line is going to cause a whole lot of problems. And I think you're going to see it when Texas A&M starts the season against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish August 31st. The defensive tackles, Shamor Turner and DJ Hicks, are fantastic. They produce. The defensive tackles of Texas A&M, they play at an SEC at the highest level. But now you're bringing in Nick Scorton, the transfer from Purdue, as a true freshman. He dominated. He was the best looking guy coming off the bus, and he was the best looking guy on the football field. Nick Scorton. Remember the name. It's only like the 35th time I brought up his name. Nick Scorton got into the portal, broke the hearts of the Purdue Boilermakers, and Texas A&M went at him with bags of cash. They've got themselves a superstar. SEC is going to learn the name Nick Scorton real quick. Notre Dame Fighting Irish is going to learn his name in the last day of August. Bryce Anderson also could be a second-team safety for Texas A&M. Texas A&M's defense is good. It's going to be real good. It's going to be real good. The talent around the quarterback is what I'm worried about for the Aggies. So I had to put them at number 7. Number 6, the LSU Tigers. They start the season September 1st, USC. September 14th, South Carolina. LSU went 10-3 last year. Defeated Wisconsin in the bowl game. Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. Am I a believer yet? I don't know. I saw what he did against Wisconsin. I saw the long drive. He's a talented kid. Is he ready for year one as a starter? Brian Kelly, I don't know. All eyes are on Caleb Jackson, the running back. LSU Tigers, the fans, all eyes are on Caleb Jackson. This is going to be his breakout season. Ryan Brooks, LSU at 6 must mean SEC is putting 6 teams in the playoffs. They also got Josh Williams, the running back, 284 yards last year. They have high hopes for Kyron Lacey, the wide receiver. This is going to be another guy they expect to break out. But then the guy they know who's going to produce is tight end Mason Taylor, 36 catches last year. The defense was bad in 2023. And in the last 25 years, how many times have we said LSU's defense was bad? What, twice? Maybe 3 times? Well, last year was one of those years. Brian Kelly has brought in a whole new coaching staff, fired people. That is the reason why I have LSU number 6. A lot of moving parts on the defensive side of the field. Of course, you've got the absolute stud in linebacker Harold Perkins. Absolute stud. They're moving him around to a different linebacker position this year. Harold Perkins is going to wreak havoc in the backfield in the SEC. The secondary is led by Major Burns. LSU number 6. I could not have them go any higher. I had 5, 6, and 7 all on the same tier. All on the same tier. Number 5. And right on the cusp of making the playoffs, Missouri Tigers. And if you go look at Missouri's football schedule, it's basically the reason why I pushed them to number 5. Their football schedule is very, very doable. They went 11-2 last year. They defeated the Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl. At Texas A&M, October 5th. Home against Auburn, October 19th. Their September schedule sets up for them to get a good running start toward the season. Quarterback Brady Cook, over 3,300 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Brilliant. Their wide receivers that are coming back for the Tigers, Theo Ruiz, Mookie Cooper, 49 catches, 36 catches. And of course, the man you see before you, Luther Burden, 86 catches, over 1,200 yards. Going to be the top wide receiver in next year's draft. Most highly predicted Luther Burden superstar. Tight end Brett Norfleet coming back. Now, the running back situation is why I could not have Missouri get past this tier of 7, 6, and 5. It's a mystery. Now, I have watched the transfer from Georgia State, Marcus Carroll, play. He ran for over 1,300 yards at Georgia State. Can he play at the SEC level? He probably can. But I think a lot rides on Marcus Carroll. The edge rusher, they got a great one in Johnny Walker. Pass rusher extraordinaire, Johnny Walker. They lost a lot of guys in the secondary. Linebacker Chuck Hicks and Tristan Newsome are good. They're good to go. The Missouri linebackers. But man, they lost a lot in the secondary. Missouri, number 5. They're right on the edge. Right on the edge for making the PATC's college football predictions. And I'm going to be making that after we go through Oregon State, Washington State, Notre Dame, and some more G5 breakdowns. Then we're going to do our playoff final predictions. This is our last of our final Power 4 conference order to finish predictions. So we're getting close. We are getting very close. Number 4, Alabama Crimson Tide. The man you see before you, Jalen Milroe. Over 2,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. They won 12-2 last year, lost to Michigan in the semifinals in overtime, 27-20. And the problem was, at the end of the game, Michigan was daring Milroe to pass downfield, and they wouldn't do it. Alabama could not get it done. They could not complete a pass downfield. So Kalen DeBoer, the new head coach, what is his offense? Take shots downfield. Washington took shots downfield under Kalen DeBoer. So Jalen Milroe, he's going to have to connect on some this year. They start first big game is at Wisconsin, September 14th. And then September 28th, they're at home against the Georgia Bulldogs. So Alabama starts with some big games right at the beginning. The running back situation, they believe they've got a superstar in Justice Haynes. Ran for only 168, but at 6.7 yards per rush. It's his season. He's going to get the rock. They've got a transfer from Washington who came with Kalen DeBoer. Bernard, Mr. Bernard, Jeremy Bernard, you saw him all of last year in the semifinals, in the finals. 34 catches, 419 yards. That is a big get for Alabama. 5-star freshman, true freshman, wide receiver, Ryan Williams. Alabama expects their true freshman, Ryan Williams, to light it up. Just like Auburn's, just like Ohio State's top 5-star receiver, Alabama's expecting the same out of Mr. Ryan Williams. New defensive coordinator, Kane Womack. Remember, he was the head coach of South Alabama. Kalen DeBoer comes to Alabama, first-year head coach at Alabama, and he go and gets defensive coordinator Kane Womack, who is a successful head coach at South Alabama. We'll see how that works out. Tim Keenan, lineman. Deontay Lawson, a great linebacker. Jihad Campbell, linebacker, safety. Malachi Moore, who's going to be first-team defense. SEC. Alabama's got a real good defense, obviously. I've got them at number 4. The wide receiver room is a little bit unproven. Jalen Milroe is unproven at connecting downfield. And that is what Kalen DeBoer has for his offense. We'll see. I got Bama, number 4. Ole Miss, number 5. Jackson Dart, coming back. Lane Kiffin, The Ole Miss Rebels on offense are absolutely stacked. 11-2 last year. They start, first big game is Kentucky, September 28th. They're at LSU on October 12th. That is a big game. Ole Miss at LSU, October 12th. That's going to decide a lot of things here. Jackson Dart over 3,300 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Their wide receiver room is electric. Lane Kiffin. First they got Trey Harris, 54 catches. Jordan Watkins, 53 catches. They've got the tight end, Caden Prieskorn, who made some brilliant plays last year, the tight end. The running back situation, Quinshon Judkins has transferred. He's now at Ohio State, playing in the backfield with Trayvon Henderson. Useless Bentley. Mr. Bentley is taking over for Ole Miss. 540 yards, 5.7 yards per rush. You know what? Bentley kind of, let's be honest, Bentley outperformed Quinshon Judkins. He didn't get the rock as much, but Bentley played better than Judkins last year. So we'll watch and see what Bentley does when he's the full-time RB1 running back for the Ole Miss Rebels. Lots of transfers on defense. They got guys coming in from Texas A&M, from Florida, from Arkansas. Defensive lineman Jared Ivey, safety John Saunders is a great one. They've got some guys coming back who can play, but there are question marks on defense. I had to stretch it to get to Ole Miss number 3. I think they're going to get to 3. I think they're going to be a college football playoff team. They got to get enough out of their defense. Number 2, the Texas Longhorns. Queen Ears, 12-2 last year. As we know, they lost in the playoffs. September 7th, Michigan at the Big House at Ann Arbor. October 12th, Oklahoma. November 30th, Texas and Texas A&M. The rivalry begins again. November 30th. Quinn Ewers, 3,400 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And of course, they got the most famous backup quarterback, Arch Manning. Running back, Jadon Blue, 398 yards, 6.1 yards per rush. He's going to be taking over their RB1 position. Brooks is gone. Now, on the wide receiver room, very interesting. You know, Quinn Ears, he threw the ball to guys like Xavier Worthy last year. But now, he's got to transfer Isaiah Bond from Alabama, who really showed up the second half of the season for Alabama. He was really starting to be electric. Isaiah Bond. He goes in the portal. He comes to Texas. Matthew Golden, premier wide receiver from Houston. Portal. Bam. Houston to Texas. Silas Bolden, wide receiver. Oregon State in the portal. Bam. Goes to Texas. They're all expected to be the top wide receivers for Quinn Ewers. So Quinn Ewers is thrown to some talent, but it's all new guys. So keep an eye on that. Now they got freshman, All-American linebacker Anthony Hill. They've got the stud at linebacker. They've got the stud at cornerback Malik Muhammad. They've got a couple big-time dudes on the defensive side of the ball. We shall see. I got Texas number 2. I got them going into the playoffs. But number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs. They're going to come back to try to recapture the SEC championship. And, of course, to become the national champion once again. 13-1 last year. On August 31st, they play Clemson. On September 28th, they play Alabama. The quarterback you see before you is Carson Beck. Over 3,900 yards passing. 72.4% completion. Holy smokes. Etienne, Trevor Etienne, the running back, the transfer from Clemson. Dominique Lovett, 54 catches last year. The transfer wide receiver from Miami, Colby Young. I've said this before. Colby Young. He jumps out of the screen. He can get open. He's a physically imposing player. He can be one of the best wide receivers in the country. He just has to get more consistent on catching the ball. But Colby Young is a huge pickup for the Bulldogs. Their O-line has 4 starters coming back, and they've got depth. Georgia's O-line is going to be dominant. The linebacker, Mikael Williams. The defensive back, we all know, Malachi Starks. The nose tackle, Nazir Stackhouse. Defensive tackle, Warren Brinson. They've got 5-star freshman cornerbacks that I don't know. Are they going to play a lot at the beginning of the season, middle of the season, late in the season? You remember Ellis Robinson? You remember KJ Bolden, the recruiting battles? Georgia's going to play them both. They're going to get their feet wet. Georgia is absolutely stacked. Yes, Etienne transfer from Florida. Absolutely correct. In fact, I got that. I don't know why I said Clemson. Probably thinking of his brother. Ellis Robinson, KJ Bolden. They're going to play. They can't keep those guys on the bench. Georgia is absolutely stacked. Number 1, Georgia Bulldogs. So that is my predictions for the SEC. Number 16, Vanderbilt. Number 15, Mississippi State. 14, South Carolina. 13, Arkansas. Number 12, Florida. Number 11, Auburn. Kentucky. Number 10, Oklahoma. 9, Tennessee. 8, Texas A&M. 7, LSU. 6, Missouri. 5, Alabama. 4, Ole Miss. 3, Texas. 2, in Georgia. Number 1. Let me have it. Let me know how wrong I got it. But there it is. There's the breakdown of the SEC. Ricky, thank you so much. We'll get to your comments. We're going to get to your super chats. We're going to talk about the Josh Pate tease. And then we're going to hit your phone calls. Talk about anything you want in college football. My SEC predictions. What do you think again? What does Josh Pate mean by it? But I'm going to give you my thoughts once again, and then we'll get to your calls. Ricky, thank you so much for your gift membership. I do appreciate your generosity. I know the person that got your gift has already said thank you to you. But you, Ricky, and the person that was gifted, you are hereby knighted, cloak and dagger. Thank you so much. Ryan Brooks, hot take. LSU has more Big Ten wins than Minnesota. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Wow. How many Big Ten games does LSU play this year? Wow, that's not only is that an elbow, that is a sharp elbow. But I'm willing to take it. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan Brooks. I do appreciate it. Man, I hope you're not correct. Let's put it that way. If you're correct on that prediction, Mr. Brooks, I'm going to be doing a lot of crying right here in the studio, right in front of the camera. I'm going to be doing a lot of crying. Thank you, Ryan Brooks, for your generosity. Jacoba Cat. Once Florida State and Clemson pair with Miami, inferred Notre Dame and Navy will follow. Pate sees Navy's growth as their command structure is best for future space fleets. Thank you, Jacoba Cat. I'm going to be touching on the Big Ten right after we go through the generous super chats. And I'm not going to be holding anything back. So buckle up. We'll get to it in a second. Thank you, Jacoba Cat, for your thoughts, your comments, and for your super chat. Ryan Brooks, Greg, since your cheese has slid off your cracker, you may well as put it on your burger. No! Thank you, Ryan Brooks, for your generosity once again. I appreciate it. I knew you were going to nail me today. I expected it. I deserve it. Except when LSU finishes in 6 based upon tiebreakers, which, by the way, we don't know what the tiebreakers are yet. Nobody has released their official tiebreakers yet. But based on tiebreakers, I can assure you, Mr. Brooks, that LSU is going to finish 6. Helmer Hennessy, new Big Ten commercial. Young couple buying airline tickets from Detroit to Washington State. Wave their tickets to the camera, smile and say, "It just means more. Who wins? Penn State versus USC." Thank you, Helmer Henderson. I'm going to take Penn State in that game, but thank you, Helmer Henderson. Appreciate your very generous super chat and all your donations throughout the weeks and months. I appreciate it, Mr. Henderson. Okay. Committee won't use tiebreakers. True. But figuring out the standings, the conferences need tiebreakers because you got bowl tie-ins. You might have a 3-team tie for second place. With an unbalanced schedule, you might not have teams playing each other. The 3 teams that finish in second place, there's a possibility that none of those 3 teams played each other during the season. So we're gonna need to know tiebreakers before the start of the season. Okay, let's get to. Hold on here. I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Hold on. Yeah, we did talk about the settlement, the House case. Josh Pate. We've ran it once. Let's run it again. For those who missed it.
You're already aware of. I want to give you guys a warning that I think you're already aware of.
I'm going to run this once again. Again, this is basically part 3 of Josh Pate teasing that something big is going to happen in college football, college athletics. This is at least the third time he's spoken on it, and he just mentioned it briefly at the beginning of the show yesterday, of his show. So I'm going to show you a little clip. And I want your comments in the comment section, and I want your phone calls to let me know what you think. Because Josh Pate added the information last night, as you're going to hear, that he expects whatever's going to happen to start breaking this week. That some levers are going to be pulled, some buttons are going to be pushed. And I want to hear your comments on what you think this is going to be. So one more time, we're going to speculate on this. Because whatever Josh Pate is talking about, and if it comes true, we're going to find out this week. It's going to be evident. So let's go through the clip. I'm going to give you my guess, and then I want to hear your thoughts. But let's listen to this one more time.
Of in your own personal lives, but you don't realize how similar everyone else's life is to yours. I know you guys very well. You know me. And we know that each other, we know amongst ourselves, we've been putting stuff off to next week for a solid 2 weeks. You know good and well you've been telling folks, we'll get to it after July 4th. We'll get to it after the holiday weekend is really what you meant. Well, people in our world do that too. People in the media world, yeah, duh, they hardly ever work anyway. But people in the college football and college athletics world have been doing that. So I know this is vague. It's meant to be vague because I'm not talking about anything in particular. I'm just telling you, you know how there have been some drips about potential big news coming over the past, I don't know, like few months. I think the dam's going to start to break because I think a lot of people have been putting things off, big decisions, big buttons and levers they need to push and pull. I think those have basically been put off to this week. It starts this week, and there are going to be a lot of really busy people behind the scenes this week in your world where you work, but also in college athletics, and whomst amongst us knows what will come from that.
Okay. Did I say that the court would rule the gore not enforceable? I don't think I said that last night. Are you talking about somebody else? News of a negotiated settlement gets put out there. Okay, this is what I think, and this is a guess. Yeah, I didn't say that. That's okay. Let me go through this one more time, then I'm going to take your phone calls. So, I don't know what Josh Pate is alluding to. This is a guess. But naturally, I have to somehow fit what he's been saying against what I believe very strongly to know. I mean, I'm sorry, but we were given information. We talked about it May 23rd, 28th. We've been talking about it almost every day. So, and again, if I turn out to be wrong, I'm going to take the biggest L in college football YouTube history. We've taken a lot of big W's. I can take a big L, but you come on this show to get at least some clarity when I have it. I can't give you clarity on what Josh Pate is talking about, but I can give you clarity on what Josh Pate isn't talking about. I have very, I cannot emphasize this enough. I really can't. And at some point, some point, it's going to be self-evident. The Big Ten, whatever Josh Pate is talking about, I do not believe it directly has the Big Ten in the story. The Big Ten doesn't even have their key in the ignition when it comes to expansion. I know the stories are out there. I know people have and that's okay to speculate. But basically, people have gone out there and reported that the Big Ten already knows what they're going to do. They've already got a wink and a nod. They've already got a handshake. There's already an offer. None of that is true. They don't have that with Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina. They got nothing with nobody except for Notre Dame, and I don't expect Notre Dame to be this story that Josh Pate's talking about. So in my take, it has nothing to do with some school going to the Big Ten. I highly, highly, highly doubt it has anything, Josh Pate's story has anything to do directly with the SEC at this point. I'm 99% sure on that. I'm 100% sure on the Big Ten. And I don't think it has to do with the South settlement or governance. Those are big breaking news stories. But this part 3, if you tie it into part 2, if you tie it into part 1, Josh Pate has said, realignment news, big bomb going off, possibly in July. He called it realignment news. He said that this is affecting ACC schools and Florida State is the face of it. But other schools are affected by it. He did not say Florida State and another school. He said Florida State and other schools. In that clip that I just showed you, this part 3, Josh Pate says a decision that people have been putting off. That levers are finally going to get pulled and buttons are going to get pushed. And then, I don't know how, that last phrase where he said, and we don't know what to come of it or whatever. I don't know what word he used there. It's not a Minnesota word. We don't use his phrase, but something to the effect of, and then we don't know what happens after that. So my guess, this is a guess, ladies and gentlemen. If I guess right, no big deal. If I guess wrong, you can yell at me, but it was only a guess. I think Josh Pate's teases, I guess, on my part, is that ESPN has decided not to pick up their option for 2027 and beyond. It's a guess. But it really is the only story that really fits with all the clues that Josh Pate has mentioned, in my opinion. When I open up the phone calls, you can tell me how wrong I am, because I probably am wrong. But he says it's been a decision that has been pushed off. It has. ESPN's decision on whether they're going to keep distributing ACC's content after 2027. This decision has been put off since 2021. So that fits. Realignment news. That would be an explosive realignment news that would keep a whole bunch of people busy, including numbskull news, including everybody else. If that news breaks this week, we're all going to be busy. And it affects Florida State, which is the face of this, and other ACC schools. It would be a realignment news bomb. To me, it fits all parts of the story. All his teases. Every other potential story doesn't quite get there for me. Florida State announcing that they're leaving the conference, filing a notice of withdrawal without having the media rights. That's a big news item. It's a realignment news item, but it's not people pushing off a decision. It's a school pushing off a decision. It doesn't work with the teases of Josh Pate. Another scenario that maybe fits Josh Pate teases is there's a settlement. But that isn't really pushing. To me, it doesn't quite work either. Because it might be, but pushing levers, pushing buttons, pushing off, I'm going to bet against it. I think, and I know, you can take you can take this however you want, but I'm. Remember when I did the hot bubble of action, and I knew there was something going on, and I knew that Colorado was meeting with the Big 12, and it was May 7th, and I told you something happening between April 28th and May 17th, and then a live show May 8th, I told you all that the Pac-12 just got a shot in the solar plexus. I could not tell you about May 7th, that Sunday, but May 8th, that Monday, I came on here and I said, I'm being serious to you guys. The Pac-12 just got a shot in the solar plexus. I'm being serious right now. The Big Ten does not have their key in the ignition. They haven't turned their car on. They're not even sitting in behind the steering wheel when it comes to driving the expansion bus, the expansion car, whatever you want to call it. The Big Ten is not active. They haven't talked. They haven't spoken. There's been no first party talks. There's been no winks. There's been no nods. There's been no handshakes. No offers. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. And I am not saying that and I've been accused of this. I've seen people have been sending me stuff. I'm not saying what I just said to give Big Ten cover. I am not affiliated with the Big Ten at all. In fact, the Big Ten, there's a whole history. The Big Ten, I'm person non grata to the Big Ten. I almost blew up their whole 2022 spring and summer. They followed me. The whole stories in the Los Angeles Times. Go to my episode 22. Episode 22 of this channel. The very first month of this channel. Episode 22. Watch that episode. I am not giving cover to the Big Ten. Because some people believe I'm out there being forceful about this because the Big Ten doesn't want to be accused of torturous interference or whatever. That I'm doing this for the Big Ten's favor. I'm not. I don't do that. So, no, that's not what this is. And no, I'm not the captain of the misinformation campaign. I'm not part of some conspiracy. Nobody would include me in a conspiracy if it was going on. I would never be chosen. There is nothing going on. I'm telling you what I know. There's a lot of doors that are closed to me on this story, and I've been honest. Been fortunate to have some doors open up. The Big Ten does not have any deals, any handshakes, any wink and nods, nothing, nobody, nothing, except for Notre Dame. And I don't think that's what Josh Pate is talking about. And I highly, highly doubt that the SEC does. Highly doubt. Almost 100% sure. So what is this big story? This big realignment news, this big bomb that's about to go off? If Josh Pate is correct, if his sources have given him good information, my only guess, and it's only a guess, is that there's gonna be ESPN is gonna say we're walking away from the ACC as being their rights holder for beyond 2027. And that would what that would do is Florida State's grant of rights to the ACC would only be for 3 more seasons, 3 more calendar years. Same with Clemson, same with North Carolina. And if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, if that's the case, if that is the news that's about to break, then that means when Florida State calls the SEC, when Florida State calls the Big Ten, Tony Petitti will go to the legal counsel and say, can we start discussions? And I believe the legal counsel will probably say yes. Same with the SEC. Now, Florida State and Clemson get what they've always wanted. Meaningful discussions with potential other conferences and other media companies. So if that is what Josh Pate's story is, that ESPN is dropping the option, that is a thunderbolt through the college athletic world and affects Florida State and other ACC schools, like Josh Pate said the story would. It would be a bomb, and it would basically put a whole lot of cold water all over these legal proceedings. Maybe they would continue. I don't know. There'd be an exit fee buyout. Gore. It's all doable. Suddenly, everything becomes doable. Is that what Josh Pate is talking about? That's my guess. But I don't know. I don't know what Josh Pate has. If that's the story, I don't got it. Let's go to your phone calls. Let's go to your super chats first, then we'll go to your phone calls. Scott P. ESPN not renewing could be their apology to Florida State, so they don't have to spend $500 million to get out. If Florida State wants to take that as an apology, I would say, okay. I would not say ESPN, you are forgiven. I would just, if that's the story, guys, I'm guessing. I don't know. Boy, I wish I knew. And if you don't think I've tried trying to find, I've tried. I have tried. I know what it isn't. Some of what it isn't that a whole lot of people are speculating on. I know it isn't certain things, but this would be a huge story. Thank you, Scott P, for the super chat. Let's get these phones opened up. Let's get them opened up right now. The phone line, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. The line is open. Immaculate, Mr. Hawkeye, very interested to hear what you have to say. The floor is yours.
Well, good afternoon, Greg. I looking forward to talking to you about this. I know I've been kind of pushing back on a little bit of this, but I think you kind of made a point that might have turned me a little bit.
I made a point, a good point.
Yeah.
I've never made a good point before. What was it so I can do it again?
I'm kind of hard-headed. And but the whole thing about him saying that it's something that's been put off, and it's coming to a head this week, and we've got other information. Like, I've been really strongly thinking it has to do with the NCAA settlement, but we're getting information that might be getting pushed back even more. And maybe with that happening, something else has to happen. The move situation, because they have a limited amount of time. And it's kind of hard to believe that ESPN would actually do this, but at the same time, it fits the bill. It is the thing that could cause this to move without having the NCAA settlement figured out, without having the new governance details affirmed and knowing where to go with that, without having the NLRB cases that then follow that. If they need something to happen before all that happens, because that's getting pushed back and back and back, what you're suggesting would be that thing, right? Like if ESPN came out and said that, as mind-blowing as it is, that would do what needs to be done. That would get everyone's kind of looking possibly at multiple, right? Notre Dame's thinking maybe we rebuild the ACC, maybe we have to go to the Big Ten. You've got schools looking in multiple directions. Everyone's just kind of frozen.
Yeah.
But if ESPN comes in and does that, like you're saying, that quickly thaws the situation.
Yeah.
And
what another part of this is, it's another part of what Josh Pate said, which makes it hard for like all the other stories to fit, is not only did he say the dams it's starting this week, dams breaking this week, whatever, the decision's been put off, people are going to be hitting the button, pulling the lever, but he also made this, then people are going to get real busy. Like, everyone's going to get real busy. Well, these other potential stories, yeah, people are going to get busy, but only like a small section of people are going to get busy. If this is the story, I mean, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, the Big Ten, and the SEC, we're all going to get busy. Right. And that's what fits Josh Pate's tease, his latest one, with all the other teases. So, but go ahead, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
That's a good point. No, that's a good point. And and I know some folks are looking at this probably thinking, how is this a good business decision for them? I would push back a little bit and saying, I don't think it means ESPN and the ACC are through.
Yeah. Yes.
I
agree.
A period of negotiation begins. They're just saying, we're not taking that deal forward anymore because we don't think this conference is going to be the same from now until 2036, which I would say is a pretty safe bet as a company.
No.
If they only have so long to make this determination, right? I mean, they got to January, February of next year, and they probably want to get some things going before the football season, because once football season starts, when does that end? January.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in it. So really, they don't have that much time to determine. I mean, you might say this is like a month. They have a month. And I don't know if you saw it. I sent you a little something, but Brian Murphy reported a little something out of North Carolina. And I'm kind of curious about the date on it and what your thoughts are on that date, the July 12th in particular. And what?
Yeah, I'll put it up on the screen here. Remember when UNC Board of Trustees said they were going to talk about North Carolina athletic budget in closed session, and they didn't because of a lawsuit? Well, a temporary restraining order is still in effect. It's been extended to at least July 12th. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know why. Like one being extended, and then the wording of at least July 12th. Like, is this like an open invitation to have it extended further?
It
Like,
could.
but if they're picking July 12th for it to be right now, is there something that they think is happening?
I don't
And then on
think so.
July 12th, then it's kind of an interesting thing because like if what you're saying is true, if what we're thinking here, UNC is part of that.
Oh, yeah.
North
Yeah.
State is part of that. And, well, there might be some things they can't talk about in closed session. I don't know. I guess none of that. I don't want to go too deep into that. I just thought that the July 12th date itself was pretty interesting in that. So, because it seems very particularly picked. I mean, if they could just extend it past that at some point if they want, they picked that date for some reason. So I think you might be right. I don't have something else to offer other than what you're suggesting. So that's pretty much all I got for today, and I'm kind of curious what you have to say on that. But I don't know what else it could be that could move this in that quick of a time period. So I'm really interested to see in other people's calls if they have some ideas because I'm kind of.
You got it. Appreciate it, hot guy.
Talk to you later, bud.
Beautiful call. And I mean, it doesn't
Call from
Numbskull News.
Numbskull News. Can you hold on 1 second? I just want to finish a thought here. I'm stuttering. I'm stammering. Don't quite know how to put it, but it doesn't. If this is what's happening, it doesn't. Like nobody is saying, like ACC, ESPN. They're not saying the Gore's null and void. That it's not. They're just shortening it up. It's back to the original grant of rights when it was first signed in 2013 to 2027. 2016 kicked it to 2036. I don't know if Clemson and Florida State would keep on with their court cases. Maybe they would because I don't know. Numbskull News, give me your thoughts. What's going on, man? What's going on?
Well, first, if Josh Pate is just blowing smoke, boy, you better get out the lynch mob because people are going to come for him. But there's really no telling what's up. If ESPN announces that they're going to pull out in 2027 and they announce it this week, that means the negotiations have not gone well, third party and all. But yeah, that means they can't get people aligned, not enough to agree on certain places to go, certain money to make and whatever. So they're like, you know what? We're just going to get out of this. We're done with, having our business out on the street. We don't want to take a chance of that happening. We're just going to pull out of here. And then everyone becomes a free agent in 2027 and we'll try to pick up who we need or who we want, if anybody.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just what it looks like. And that's if anything goes on at all this week or this month.
Yeah.
Which I know we're all wanting things to move because it's getting boring and we want things to get settled. Football season's coming up.
Yeah.
So, we want tired of the can getting kicked down the road, as you were talking about, or as Josh Pate was talking about, or whoever was talking about it. Yeah. We just want the can to stop and everyone to make their decisions, and let's get on with making money and making touchdowns, and let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people disagree with me. I'm pretty much on an island here, but and I'm going to get a lot of nasty DMs when I say this, but there hasn't been what people perceived what was going on. There hasn't been these conversations between, there's been third-party talks, but there's been no lawyers involved. There's been nothing going on between the Big Ten and these ACC schools. And I highly doubt that Greg Sankey has tipped his toes in the water as well. And I think that is going to be clear to everybody here soon. I'll just say that. And I'm going to leave that lay. So if this
your hot bubble of action, when was that? Or was that first party talks, the hot bubble of action that you talked about?
That was third party talks.
Was it third party?
Yeah, it wasn't first. No, there hasn't been. The Big Ten has not touched any of this stuff, and neither has the SEC.
Well, I'm talking about Colorado. Sorry.
Oh no, that was first party talks. No, that was Brett Yormark and the Colorado president sitting across from each other. That was the Colorado athletic director at the time. They were all at the meeting. May 7th, Sunday, went 90 minutes. We knew that was happening. That was a hot bubble of action, but we couldn't tell anybody It was a meeting. But then on May 8th, I went on live and said, holy smokes, hot, Then eventually Pete Thamel broke it in a public report later that month, and then I was free to talk about it. None of that is happening here. It's not legally possible. The legal counsels of the SEC and the Big Ten would not approve of it because none of these ACC schools, they all have their media rights owned by the ACC to 2036. Commissioner Phillips talked to all these commissioners, and they all said, no, we're not going to have discussions with your schools. Now, there's been third-party talks where people are not connected directly to these conferences. They might be able to say, hey, you might be valued at such and such a price. You probably should try to get a good relationship with this athletic director, that president, things like that nature. But nobody directly with the SEC has talked with Florida State. Nobody in the Big Ten has talked with Florida State. And pretty much everybody disagrees with me, and that's fine. But I think people are going to find out at some point what I'm saying is true in reports. So that is why I've come to this conclusion that this must be the story, because there's a whole bunch of other things that couldn't possibly be the story because it hasn't even been first party talks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, to me, it's like, all right, like with the Big 12 getting the Pac schools, there were third-party talks for a long time. Like, I know it was reported with Colorado.
Yeah.
It was like 9-10 months of discussion. I mean, it didn't involve Brett Yormark or a president or an AD or chancellor.
But that was all good because they knew Colorado's grant of rights was coming up August 1st, 2024. So that was all.
Right.
That was all. Everyone got the green light on that.
But to me, it's like Brett Yormark, when he wanted to put the look-in clause in the CFP, and what was it, 2028 or 2027 that he put that in? That date wasn't on accident.
Yeah.
He's they do business with ESPN, so he may get some kind of I don't know, little bit of information himself from ESPN of what they are going to try to do and what they want to do. Considering that that's one of the Big 12 is one of their main partners, SEC, ACC. But if the ACC is going to implode, they're going to need to get Big 12 on board for their plans. And I'm sure they're trying to third-party talk whatever, but ESPN knows it may not work, and you got to have a backup plan. What is that? Well, let's pull out of this thing, 2027. And then that will force a reworking of everything with the ACC. Because you can have a grant of rights all you want till 2036, but if it's for $0, that's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're probably just it's probably, you know, look, there's a 95% chance I'm just dead wrong on this guess. But let's just pretend we're right, okay? Numbskull News, and let's say that's the news, right?
Well, that's what I prefer to do. I like to pretend that I'm right.
Okay.
That's more fun.
I mean, if that happens, Numbskull News, I mean, it's a thunderbolt, right? I mean, it is, we're going to be very busy, Numbskull News, if that's the case. Let's just put it that way. People are going to just go nuts. There's so many things that are going to... Now you're going to have first-party talks. Now you're going to have reporting. Now you're going to have rumors that could end up being true instead of all these other rumors that have no chance of being true. It's going to be crazy, Numbskull News, if that is what's about to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, hey, if I got to go live topless, then I'll do so, Greg.
All right, man. I appreciate
It's hot
the
anyway.
call.
Anyway, thanks for the show, Greg. I always appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you. Numbskull News.
Good.
Check them out. Carrie, Gold knows. We understand what you're saying, Greg. We just went out badly. I do appreciate it, Carrie, and I do appreciate your patience with me. You know, we had peek around the corner. We already took an L on this, right? Office speculation.
Call from
John.
John, can you hold on for one moment, please?
Sure.
I do appreciate it. You know, I already took an L, like office speculation. Off of, we knew that there had been third-party talks, which are not all that important, but we had to tell you guys about it. We know that there were things that led me, and I said at the time when we put up Clemson and Florida State with a chalk for the Big Ten, I said this was highly speculative and we're probably going to have to rip it down. And we did. We ripped it down. We put it up on April 4th and we ripped it down on May 23rd. And I did not do it lightly. We had the info. We had to flip it. And I took the L on the flip-flop and I was transparent. There are still people out there that are obsessed over it. I've already taken the L. I don't know what else I can possibly do. We had to flip. We finally got the door open. We finally got information that I cannot, it's, and again, I understand I'm pretty much the only one out there saying it, that the Big Ten does not have nothing, no deal, no wink, no handshake, no nod, nothing. They don't know what they're going to do. They're going to be cautious and deliberate. They're going to wait for North Carolina, Notre Dame when the dam breaks. It's not a shot against the Clemson. It's not a shot against Florida State. Two very fine universities, very high-valued athletic programs. And I've tried to explain that the combination probably won't work for the Big Ten historically. I'm sitting on solid ground on that. Other than that, there hasn't been these. I'm not taking a shot at Miami, Virginia Tech. I'm not taking a shot at anybody. I've been trying to give you the best peek around the corner that I can. And I'm going to tell you something. And I'm being as serious as I've ever been on this channel when I've broken big stories. I'm telling you, the story that's not going to break is the story that it's all done. That the SEC knows exactly who they're getting. The Big Ten knows exactly who they're getting. That's not the story that it's going to break. Look into my bloodshot eyes. Look at me in the camera. That is not the story that's going to break. If it is, I'll take the biggest L in college football YouTube history. but I'm not going to. There has been nothing between these parties when it comes to serious first-party talks. I'm just telling you something. I know all the stories out there. Yes, this has happened, that has happened. It's all false. I'm letting you know right now. John, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Greg. Hey, on the exit fee, if the option is not renewed with ESPN, or if 8 teams decide to vote to leave, is there still an exit fee applied?
I really don't think that dissolution theory is at play. First of all, 8 schools leave and wouldn't get it done anymore because SMU has come on board. And according to the state of North Carolina, nonprofit organizations, I think you have to be over 50% vote to dissolve an organization. But regardless, I don't think that's in play. But if it is what I'm guessing, and it's just a guess, that ESPN is about to announce they're dropping the option, I still think the exit fee is still at play. I think the grant of rights, the cost of getting out of the grant of rights has dropped significantly. Like many hundreds of millions of dollars has dropped. So let me guess here. 3 years left of the Gore, exit fee still in place. Historically, you negotiate 60% of the exit fee. So we're looking at about 80 million to get out of the exit. And then how much for the Gore? Probably very little. So that's what I think we're looking at. And I think if those schools find a landing spot, I think they'd pay it and get out in a heartbeat. What do you think?
Well, I always thought that whoever was going to leave was going to try and use, like I said, the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And because money is still so tight.
Yeah.
And I was trying to, at first I thought, well, maybe there's 2 or 3 teams that are going to try and either come up with the money or borrow the money, 4 teams tops, and leave. But when Josh Pate said, I think he said rebuild the ACC, that sounded a lot more drastic than add teams or make adjustments. You know what I'm saying?
Very good point. He said reconstructed, reconfigured ACC. Now,
right.
That was his words. Thank you for bringing that up, John. And again, this PATC guess that it's ESPN dropping the option for 2027, that also fits into Josh Pate's tease of a reconstructed, reconfigured ACC, which you're making a great point of, John. You're saying it's got to be multiple teams. Plus, Josh Pate said Florida State and schools. So everything is, in my estimation, and I think a lot of people in the PATC community, and maybe you, John, this thing could be lining up as ESPN dropping the 2027 option. And if so, John, we've got a bomb that just blew up.
Well, we had the money perch from FSU saying, we want the same money as Florida gets, and then you turn around and North Carolina told UNC and NC State that if they were in different conferences, they'd have to play each other and then put a rotation on App State, East Carolina, and Charlotte on 2-year rotation. So that kind of opened the door for either one of those to leave. And as months ago, and I can't remember who did the interview, but somebody stopped Sankey and asked him about having teams double up in each state. And he said, look, there's no gentleman's agreement, no handshake agreement, nothing in the conference that says you can't have a second team be added to a state.
Yeah.
He said, so I don't know where that came from, but that's not true. But I kept trying to think, how could this thing work out to where they could get out the cheapest? And that's the only two ways I could come up with is the 8 teams, well, like I say, with SMU joining, that may blow that out of the water, or with the exit option not being picked up. But I just wanted to run that by you and see what you thought.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points. And yeah, I don't. Nobody in the SEC has the veto pen, right? Florida does not have a veto pen to keep Florida State out. Texas A&M did not have the veto pen to keep Texas out. USC did not have the veto pen to keep Oregon out. That was reported everywhere, and I kept saying that is absolutely incorrect. So you are correct. A great call, John.
One more thing, Greg.
Yep.
The only thing I feel like I know kind of for sure, and I'm like I say, I'm guessing on that, is I believe ESPN will try and keep every profitable team under their umbrella, and whoever's not pulling their weight, they're going to probably take a beat, and that's all I got to say.
Got it. All right, man. Appreciate it. Call again, John.
Thank you, buddy.
Call from
Moth Prof.
My
to
prof,
accept,
you
press
there?
1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Ooh, I almost screwed that up. My prof, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sorry
Yes,
about
I am.
that. I screwed up on the buttons. Thanks for calling, man. I appreciate it. What do you think? What's going on, man?
Good to talk to you, sir. First thing I want to say is I want to pray for the families affected by the hurricane
You got
down
it.
there in Texas.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to maybe change the topic if I can.
You sure can.
How about the college football playoff? Are you excited about it?
The what playoffs?
The college football playoff.
College football playoffs?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm real excited about it. The expanded playoffs?
Now, yeah.
I think
Why are
it's
you
the best
excited
thing
about the
I
college
think it's the
football
best
playoff?
thing that's happened in the sport.
Okay. Now, why is that?
Because it democratizes the sport. It gives hopes and dreams to more fan bases. I think it increases the value of the regular season. I think it increases exposure on a lot of games that people would dismiss because that game really didn't mean anything in going into the playoffs. I think it puts more pressure on coaches, athletic directors, because some of them, the expectations are going to rise for a lot of these programs. That they're going to, like Notre Dame, they need to get into the playoffs this year. There's going to be expectations. I think it's going to be more heartbreaking for the college football fans because expectations are going to rise for their programs and they're not going to get in. And I think it's great for so many reasons. But go ahead.
I agree with you. So one of the main reasons why it's supposed to be better is because there's a lot more access to it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think there might be a way to make it even better. And I think we do it by expanding it to 18 teams. And you do that by making 14 teams from the power conferences and then a 4-team mini playoff with the G5s. So what you do is the very first week of the playoffs, you have the 4 top G5 conference champions. They all play, right? Number 1 versus number 4, number 2 versus number 3. And then the 2 winners advance to slots number 15 and 16 in the 16-team playoff. And I think that what that does is it checks off a lot of boxes. That gives you a first-round bye for all the Power 4 schools, which is what they want. And you also guarantee 14 slots for the Power 4. And however they want to divide that up, they can, whether it's 4 top conference championships and then 8 or 10 at-larges get in. They can sell it however they want. But that allows the G4, the G5, however that does after consolidation, realignment, that means that they won't break off, and then you have 2 teams who have access to the 16-team playoff. because they also need to earn their spots. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
As a fan, I would enjoy that. Economically,
But you don't think the P4 would go for it though?
Yeah, I economically, I don't think that's probably gonna work. Like, I don't know if that's gonna.
It's kind of like the basketball. You know how they have the play in.
Yeah.
Why don't they have a play in for the G5?
I just think immediately.
Does that increase the Cinderella aspect?
Sure, but I just think immediately the power conferences are going to go, well, you know, you got 4 G5s in the playoffs, doing a little play-in.
It's the
while my 7th place SEC school is out, and they're, you know, I don't think politically, and I'm not sure the media partners would go for it. But as a fan, I would go for it. That's my.
I would think
that's
it would.
My
Right.
opinion.
I think it would add viewership. It would add casual viewerships from the G5 conferences fans.
Yeah, but the viewership of the G5 isn't like I don't know how many people are going to watch those play-in games. I would be doing a watch party on them. I think it would increase viewership throughout the year. I think it's an aggregate. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
I think the aggregate viewership increases dollar value for the commercial aspect of the enterprise.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure there's smart people than us that have run the numbers.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's interesting. I haven't heard that one before, so I appreciate you.
You haven't? Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe pass around some people corners. Never know. Maybe something can happen that can make everybody happy. I think it increases fandom in the entire sport, because we're losing what college football is, and I think that's a very small portion of possibly getting back to where it was, where there's 100 schools have a chance. You know what I mean? The hope of the season.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me give a call.
You got it. Appreciate it. Great call. Excellent.
Thanks for your show, Greg.
Call again,
Bye-bye.
sir. My prof.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay. Yeah.
Call from.
Okay. We got a problem.
Call from.
Kristen Fibes.
Tristan, you're on the line. Can you hold on a second?
Certainly.
We're having some issues here. We had a little hiccup on the internet. Hold on. I'm going to try to save everything. Let's, boy, oh boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy, oh boy. We've got a situation. Hold on one moment here. We are going to try to save this. Well, Well, Tristan, go ahead. What do you think? What's going on? I don't know what I don't know if I can even change the comments anymore. But go ahead, Tristan. Let it rip. What do you think is happening? Am I way off on what Josh Pate's thinking? What's going on? What do you think?
I think it does probably have something to do with the contract with ESPN. There's a lot, I mean, I know you know this, but there are a lot of expectations now for Florida State to make an announcement. A lot of the people out on War Channel are very excited and waiting for some kind of an announcement. But I don't know what it is. I think just based on the tremor, the first one that he did with the little cup of water and the T-Rex, it's something that affects the whole conference, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it could theoretically be one school leaving and then maybe two schools leave, and that ends up being an existential threat. But it seems like there's a good chance that it probably has something to do with the ESPN contract. But I obviously don't know for sure. Those are both reasonable speculations, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like, you know, I'm pretty upfront. Like, this is a guess. I can eliminate a lot of things. I believe I can. And I have in my brain. Like, it's not this stuff. So I think that's what it is. People have been sending me stuff on War Chant for weeks now, and nobody on there, as far as I know, I think I've been sent one, I don't know, like, nobody on there is saying this is definitively this or that or this or that. There's a lot of cryptic notes, and I don't even understand most of what is sent to me. I haven't heard anybody else say, I know what this is. There's been a lot of, like, a little cryptic stuff, but really no one is saying what it is. So whatever Josh Pate has, I don't think it's leaked. Mine is a complete guess. So if somebody has sent, you know, I'm opening this up for the chat room. If somebody's reporting that they absolutely know what this is, let me know. Send it to my DM. I'd like to take a look at it. A War Chant has been just a lot of, now obviously I see about, I don't know, maybe 1% of the count, because I don't have a subscription and people send me stuff all the time the last month, and it's been a lot of, like, there's just a lot of stuff said on there with no, like, I don't know, no one's saying anything definitive that I can tell. So, but go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, I think when you use the word definitive, you're really talking about from official sources, right? That's what we're
or they say this is like, I don't know, maybe somebody has, but I haven't seen anybody go, this is what Josh Pate is talking about. I haven't seen that. It's not, and I haven't done it because I have no idea. I'm guessing. But if somebody is saying they think they know, or they do know, let me know. I've seen, basically what I've seen is a lot of cryptic stuff that doesn't mean anything to me. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, bear in mind that when he was saying this, he, you know, one of the things he mentioned is that he's hearing from people in the legal community. And if you remember him making that comment, and I think that is important because it leaves the door open for either a school announcing that they're leaving or something to do with the ESPN contract. It could be either one based on that. So anyway, I wanted to mention also, you had a caller previously that was talking about the gentleman's agreement where Florida might try and block Florida State, or USC might try and block Clemson. You remember that call? I think it was John.
Yeah.
And you said that no one has veto power. I wanted to clarify that a little bit. The gentleman's agreement that people refer to, and it's always in reference to like Kentucky, South Carolina, Florida, and Georgia blocking their in-state rivals from joining the SEC. That's not a real thing. The real story there, Greg, is that back during the Missouri and Texas A&M expansion, that round of expansion, the story is that Commissioner Slive was requesting of the schools, or the presidents, I guess, he was requesting that they not nominate any in-state rivals. And the reason for that was that they needed new states, they needed new territories for the upcoming SEC network.
Yeah.
And so they were looking for expansion partners that were in new states, basically, outside of their footprint. And that request that he made of them, it indicates two things. Number one, the fact that he made the request tells us that those schools were inclined to nominate in-state rivals. Okay, Florida and South Carolina, they're inclined to do so because, in my opinion, they want that game to be a protected conference game. That in-state rivalry game that happens on the last week of the season, they want that to be a protected conference game. They would like to have their counterparts in the same conference. And the other thing to me that it indicates was that was only for that round of expansion. And I think that now it's just whoever the best universities are, in terms of branding or the best product or whatever. And we see that evidence with Texas, right? So Texas A&M's already in the conference, and here is the SEC. They're accepting Texas now as a member. So this whole thing about not having an in-state rival, I just think is a myth. Those schools want their in-state counterparts in the conference.
Got it. All right.
So, yeah. Hey, listen, I didn't hear the very first part, and I'll just leave you with this question. Did you get to the tweet regarding the Leon County judge ordering ACC to give Florida State?
We went through that. Yep. It's a victory for Florida State. It's going to be highly protective. It's going to, we're not going to see it, but I think it's, Florida State lawyers are going to get what Clemson lawyers already have, right? An unredacted copy of the media rights agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you had hit on that one.
You got it.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Call again soon.
Bye-bye.
Kurt Searcy, Warchant has about 2 to 3 people in the know, and all the rest are speculating. And that's what, speculation is great. That's what, it's a large part of college football talk is. I listen to Regal, Noel, and about 2 more. The rest are just running their mouths. And I brought this up before. I feel bad. The reason why, there's a couple reasons, but there is a lot of great Seminole fans who have wanted me to, and I did it, and I'm not going to do it anymore, but they wanted me to send out a warning to Warchant viewers about genetics, and I've done it. I'm not going to do it anymore. It is what it is. He's trolling that fan base. He's acting like he knows, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. And of course, genetics has gone on that Warchant, and he's gone on X, and he's telling everybody that it's already, there's a spot for Florida State in the Big Ten. They already know it. He's gone on that board, and he's said a whole bunch of stuff. There's also supposedly another insider in Warchant that has said Florida State's going to the Big Ten. Now, Florida State might end up in the Big Ten, Kurt. But I can tell you, there is no offer, there is no handshake, there is no wink and a nod. The Big Ten hasn't even put the key into the ignition. They have stayed far away from all ACC schools in this whole story. So there's a lot of people who have gone over their skis on a story that hasn't even happened yet. None of that has happened. So there's a couple of supposed insiders at War Chant that are saying stuff that cannot be possibly true. And that is going to be made apparent. And I'll leave it at that. But thank you, Kurt. I think we're going to shut it down. We've been on the air for, I don't know. I don't even know how long. We had an internet went out on me for a moment there. We were able to keep the show going. But man, oh man, I don't have like, it's a little, anyways, a little confusing. It's not just for legal reasons. The Big Ten honestly doesn't know what they're going to do. Nobody is their target. And that's not a shot against Florida State or Clemson, or that is, and it's going to be laid to bear at some point when the stories are written on this. I am real confident. But I also understand that I'm the only one saying this. So I get it that people are angry with me. People think I'm wrong. People think, Greg, you're an idiot. I get all that. This is not my first rodeo. But a lot of people believe this is my first rodeo. They've never heard of me, and I get it. I mean, who am I? I'm just a fat guy from Minnesota. But we've got this nailed down to where we know that the Big Ten is going to be cautious and deliberate. And this is why the Josh Pate, if the story hits tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever it hits, if it is the story, and I don't know if it is, it's just a guess, that ESPN is dropping their option for 2027 beyond, then everybody's going to get real busy. Including college football's peek around the corner and the PATC community. So hang with us. Stay with us. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe. Smash the like button and have your notifications turned on, because when this news breaks, and I don't care when it breaks, whatever's going on here, whatever is going on, we're going to be coming on live. So you've got to have your notifications turned on. Look, the Big 12 Media Days start tomorrow. Our live show tomorrow is going to be on the Big 12, and the reports coming out of the Big 12 Las Vegas. The Big 12 is a 16-team conference. The first year for Arizona State, Utah, and of course Colorado is going back home. The Big 12 16-team conference, 2-day media days. We're going to be covering here at Peek Around the Corner. So keep your head on a swivel. The breaking news, Josh Pate, could it be happening during the Big 12 media days or right after? We're going to find out together. We are going to find out together. So, again, subscribe, smash the like button, open up those notifications. Thank you for the wonderful, generous donations that help us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. Thank you for the wonderful comments. I do apologize. Something happened, internet, but we were able to maintain. And I want to thank everybody for the phone calls. I wish we could go on longer, but we can't. And plus, if we have to, we may have to go on live later again tonight. It could be a very historic week here July 8th through July 12th. Buckle up, brace for impact. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, 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 you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.